Well, good morning, boys and girls, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Remember our story where we got to last week? We're going to have a little recap of our story of Queen Esther in the Bible. Remember that there's a book in the Bible that's all about a woman called Esther, and she was queen in Persia. And this is when God's people, the Jews, had been taken captive and been sent to all countries actually, but particularly this one in Persia, where this man called Ahasuerus was the king, and he loved to have a feast. He liked his food and his drink, and there he is doing what he likes doing best there. And what we found last week was Esther, of all the young ladies in the country, she was Jewish, she was a believer in God, she was chosen to be the queen. The new queen. Wasn't that amazing that of all those ladies, God moved the king's heart to choose Esther as the queen. So she became there right next to the king. And she had a cousin called Mordecai. And once he was in the palace and he heard two men who were plotting to kill the king. So he went and told the king, and they found the two men, and that was the end of them. They were executed. Two plotters were punished by death. But the king was a bit forgetful, and he forgot all about it. Well, the other thing we found last week was there was a very wicked chief minister, and his name was Haman. And he wanted everyone to bow down to him, but Mordecai wouldn't bow down to him. So he says, right. And he was going to kill not just Mordecai, but kill all the Jews, kill all of God's people in one day. And he paid money. He offered the king money. He said, I'll do it. I'll organize it. You just go and let me do it. And the king signed off on it. He put his ring on the clay tablet, which meant that it became the law. Well, that was terrible. Imagine that. Imagine it, boys and girls, if one day some wicked ruler decided he was going to kill all the Christians. That would be us, wouldn't it? And he would be... become the law. That was the situation they were in. Well, what did Mordecai do when he heard this? He got his garments and he tore them. Tore his garments, and he got some dust and he put it on his head like that. So he looked terrible. And all the Jews did that, and they began praying and mourning. And he was outside the palace, and he was in a bad way. And Esther looked out the window, and she sent her servant, go and find out what's wrong with Mordecai. And the man went to see him. And Mordecai told the servant about the king's new law. Esther didn't know. Oh dear. What could she do? Mordecai said, you've got to go and see the king. Now, it wasn't really like we have our king and queen today. The queen couldn't just go in to the king. She had to wait till she was summoned, and she hadn't been summoned for 30 days. And she said, well, if I just go and see the king, that's against the law. I have to wait for an invitation. That wouldn't work. He might just kill me. And Mordecai wrote back and he said this, if you don't, God will save the Jews by another way, but you'll be in trouble. And so she said, okay, I'll do it. I want you to... we also said this. God's put you in that position for this very reason, that you might be able to go and see the king. So Esther was very brave, and she said, well, pray for me, and I will go and ask the king about this law, and I'll ask for mercy. And if I die, I die. If I perish, I perish. If I go into the king and he doesn't want to see me, he won't even listen to me, I'll be gone. I'll be executed. She was risking her life to save her people. Now, boys and girls, can you think of anybody in the Bible who gave his life to save his people? Can you think of anyone? How about you, Jaden? Are you listening there? You got it? Can you think of anyone in his life? William knows. Go on, William. Jesus. That's right. He didn't risk his life. He gave his life, didn't he? Laid it down. And not just for his friends. The Bible says for his enemies too. So Esther reminds us of Jesus. She is what we call a picture of Jesus in the Old Testament. Brave woman, willing to lay down her life for others. Well, as it happened, she prayed and fasted for 3 days, and she also got her servants to make a big meal. Now, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we're having a big meal next week in our church anniversary, but Les will be saying a bit more about that later. But this was a really, really fantastic meal. And she went in to see the king, and she waited outside. And if the king said, "What are you doing there? I haven't called you," that was it. She was finished. But he didn't. The king was pleased to see her, and he held out the golden scepter. She knew she was okay. So she came and just touched the top. And the king was pleased, and he said, "Queen Esther, what is your wish? Even to half the kingdom, what do you would like me to do?" And she said, "Tomorrow, I'd like you to come to a banquet that I've prepared for you and for Haman." The king liked his food. "That's a great idea. I'll be there." The next day, Esther they'd done this wonderful banquet. Haman was there. The king was there. Queen was there. Servants were coming in. There was nice plates. There was nice food. There was nice drinks. The king, after the meal, said, "Esther, that was wonderful. What would you wish? Even to half my kingdom." And Esther said, "Could you come back tomorrow for the next part of the banquet?" The king thought, great, yeah, that sounds good. But as Haman walked out, and everyone was bowing down to him, Mordecai still wouldn't bow down. He wouldn't worship this wicked man. And Haman went away angry, and he got back home. And although he'd had a great day, having a feast with the king and the queen, he was still angry because he hadn't got his way. And he said to his wife, he said, "I hate that Mordecai." And she said, "Well, why don't you make a gallows and hang him on it?" "That's a great idea," he said. "I'll get that organised." There's his wife and his advisors telling him what to do. He thought of a plan to kill Mordecai. And he went to sleep that night and slept well. But you know what? In the palace, the king couldn't sleep. Do you ever have that? You can't sleep. I remember when we told this story to one of my sons, and he said, well, it's because he didn't have a teddy with him. I don't know why. He didn't sleep well anyway. The king woke up and he asked his advisors to come to read some documents to him. And they read the part where Mordecai had told about the plotters. And the king sat up straight. He said, "Do you mean to say there were two men who were trying to kill me?" "Yeah." "And Mordecai found out about it?" "Yeah." "And hasn't he had a reward?" "No." "Oh, we'll fix that in the morning," he said. And the king went off to sleep. Next morning, when Haman came in to try and get the king to kill Mordecai, before he could say anything, king walked in. "Ah, Haman, just the man I wanted to see. What shall we do to a man who the king delights to honor, a worthy man?" And Haman thought to himself, he means me. He wants to do something for me. And then Haman thought for a minute. He said, "I know what you do, sir. You get a horse, a white horse, put the man on it, get one of your chief princes to walk and shout to everyone in the city, 'Behold the man who the king likes to honor.'" The king said, "Great idea. Go and do that for Mordecai." Oh no, that was the worst thing he wanted to hear. Go and do that for Mordecai. So there's the king, told him to do it, turned away. And Haman, we might use the word, gobsmacked. Doesn't come in the Bible, but he was amazed. He was stunned that this could happen. And there he is. Doesn't look very happy, does he? He's walking through the city. Mordecai's on the horse, and Haman's shouting out, "The man who the king delights to honour." And he had to go all the way through the city. You see, the wicked fall before the just. Well, Haman got home. He was in a bad state. And just at that moment, the invitation came for the banquet. How will God save his people? And what's the next one? What will happen? Oh, I haven't finished that one, Al. Wait till the end. What will happen to Haman? If you want to know, you've got to come back next week for the third instalment of our serial story.